This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hey guys, this is Chef Jojo Doyle, Executive Chef and Director of Operations of the Honda Center and the founder of Extreme Culinary Outfitters, aka ECO. We love the industry and we love you guys, but we love the Coarse Grind Podcast with Shawn Rosler more, so check it out when you can.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 108 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. Shit, I can remember when I weighed 108 pounds, and it was a long time ago, never mind. With you as always, host, creator, Shawn Rosler. How is everyone doing this evening? You know, while I think I may have mentioned it a couple times on here, my family and I like to go on vacations. It's not some crazy Kardashian egregious volume of them, mind you, but enough. We're traveled, and as part of that, we get to eat at a lot of interesting places, and I get to talk with the people behind some of these places, and as luck would have it, one of my most recent and amazing finds just happened to come from a donut shop parking lot. No, I'm not drunk yet, and no, I'm not bullshitting you to any degree. This happened, and they're here with us tonight. When babysitting, and more specifically feeding children and preparing their meals, is your first job, you might imagine one could come into thinking of culinary pursuits as a profession. Add into the mix Carvel in high school. Who remembers Fudgy the Whale? Come on. And you can start to see tonight's guest journey unfold. From college to momming and wifing to purchasing a restaurant as well as an ice cream joint, the writing was clearly on the wall for our guest that food was going to be much more than simple consumption. A chance meeting and introduction of magical bacon from our other guest, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening. And the wheels were off and turning. Several other stops later, the caboose pulled into the station. Do you see what I'm doing there, people? Specifically, the Knew Potato Caboose. And as they say, the rest is history. What a long, strange trip it's apparently been, indeed. And what's that about too many beers in the hot tub? Anyway, before I get too far off track, Jesus. All right, enough with the dad jokes. Fuck it, let's bring them on. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, tonight's guest, one half of the hearts and souls behind Knew Potato Caboose, Catherine Subocz. And it's Jeff Audette who could not be here with us this evening. Catherine, good evening, ma'am. Catherine, Katie,
Hi.
Katie, Joe, what do you want me to call you?
Katie, Catherine, any of the above.
Katie, Catherine, any of the above. So I'll be referring to you as any of the above for the rest of the evening.
Perfect.
Is that Swedish? I'm not sure if that's Swedish.
Lithuanian.
Lithuanian, there we go. So any of the above is Lithuanian. You've learned something new tonight, people. How is everything going on up in Maine this fine evening?
Everything's great. Not too cold yet.
There we go. I have to level with you, and I think I may have mentioned it briefly. That was our first trip to Maine, and I'd always wanted to get like deep into the Northeast, and I have to tell you, Maine is, without question, one of my favorite destinations, full stop from this point forward. It will be someplace I return on a regular basis, you playing no small part in that, but I mean, the state is just beautiful. You have a lot to be proud of up there.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah. And just fantastic all around. So, you know, food and gushing about states aside, thank you, Catherine, for being here with us this evening. Unfortunately, Jeff couldn't join us, but I'm sure he's here in spirit. Jeff, if you can hear us, give us a sign. All right, anyway, moving on. Without further ado, folks who are new to the program, folks with shitty short-term memories like yours truly, starters, mains, and afters are the sections of the show. Starters, where the guest in question has come from, where their love of food originated from, and everything else. Mains, where they're at, what they're doing, what their 5-year plan is, and anything the hell else we happen to trip into. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one's been injured in 107 episodes, so I don't see that happening tonight. So without further ado, Catherine, Katie, any of the above, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
I grew up I grew up in Northampton, Massachusetts, out in Western Mass, and I'm the oldest of 6 children in a mixed family with like stepbrothers and half-brothers and all that stuff.
Okay.
And we ate 3 square meals a day, real food, hot breakfast, hot lunch, hot dinner, meat, 2 vegetables, and a starch for dinner every night, and a glass of milk and a glass of water.
Nice.
The old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
But left to our own devices, we eat trash, Twix, combos, drink Mountain Dew, whatever else we could get our hands on.
Yeah, you eat trash. I thought for a minute, were you a mixed family with raccoons? I was wondering. Trash pandas, as they're lovingly known. So that's great, and that's a traditional. That's not too far off. I always like to kind of, lean into a little bit of my past, and folks who have listened to the show for a while, now know that's kind of to a degree, at least from my dad. My dad would cook. My dad would do the meat, starch, veg. Like that's just, those were your pillars. And I think there was probably a lot of us who experienced that regardless of state. And obviously, when the parents' heads are turned, who isn't going full on raccoon mode? Like, I'm going to eat whatever shit I can get my hands on, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right on. So, safe to say, you weren't a picky eater growing up? Did you have anything like that you just lashed out against, like raging against the machine?
We didn't have a choice about being picky eaters. We had to eat everything, but I really didn't like cooked spinach, and I still do not like cooked spinach. I like raw spinach, but cooked spinach is not for me. Excellent. And I agree with that full stop. Now, with that said, how was it cooked for you? Was it just like the out of a can, toss it in, and warm it? Or was it full on It wasn't
wilting
out of a can, but it ended up looking like that. Like the fully shrunken down, like it was like gagging on seaweed, kind of.
Yeah, and I think we've all been there gagging on seaweed, Kate. So, it's late night, you wake up, what the hell is this? What fish was in my bed? And I agree with you on that texture. That texture is just completely unpalatable. Even if you cook it, stop before it's a full hot mess. I've mentioned a couple times, and who am I kidding? My mother doesn't listen to this show. My mother doesn't even know half the shit I do. But with that said, I have gone on record and did a Mother's Day episode where I full on professed to her on air how I loathed her Brussels sprouts that she would make in the terry cloth pattern metal pot, and she'd throw them in, and she'd basically perform an exorcism. Do you know how you perform an exorcism on Brussels sprouts, Kate?
I'm guessing it's just boil them whole.
Boil the hell out of them. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You boil the hell out of them. See, it's an exorcism joke. And, quite literally, they were just, they were nothing. They were nothing at the end of it. And I think the same thing for your spinach stand. Just that lack of texture, that's got to lend to the dislike you have for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, raw, it's perfectly fine. I'll eat a spinach salad all day.
Yeah.
But no thanks, I'll pass on cooked spinach.
How about like a quick steam and a shock to stop the cooking?
I mean, wilted at best for me, to be honest.
Okay.
Wilted at best, maybe a warm dressing. See,
we're getting places here, Kate. This is an intervention with you and warm spinach. We're trying to get you there. So, nothing else, though, besides cooked spinach? Nothing else turned you off?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, for the most part, we eat everything. And we went to, like, pizza and wings every Friday night with our whole family growing up. And other, like, special occasions, birthdays, any kind of milestone even being, like, maybe some out-of-town relatives visiting, we would go to fancy restaurants.
Nice. What kind of restaurants would you swing into?
I don't remember the name, and I just asked my brother this the other day, but he never got back to me. But there was a fancy Chinese restaurant that was like real Chinese, not American, like fast Chinese, but real Chinese.
Yeah.
And there was a French restaurant that we went to that I remember, like my brother was like 6 years old eating escargot.
Nice.
And, just like the fancier places that were around town that there were never any other children eating at.
Yeah. What's your brother's name, Kate?
Jason.
Jason?
Yes.
Jason, listen to me. You don't know me. Talk to your sister. when she asks you a question, get back to her, please. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking, Jason. Come on, get with it. So, cool. So yeah. Again, I think, you know what's weird? I think with our generation, to an extent, that, you know, Friday night tradition, I don't think that is anymore. And you know, I've got 3 kids, and I think about it, and I'm like, you know, we kind of hole up, and I don't know if that's just part of the generation, part of the convenience, you know, or what. But I, in a weird kind of way, sometimes miss that. We would do the same thing with a pizza place in Northeast Pennsylvania. We just, you know, you knew every Friday that's where you were going.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And I miss it. I don't think I realized I miss it until I'm talking to you, though. That's
Oh, the nostalgia.
See, there you go. You're bringing it out in me. It's amazing. Speaking of nostalgia, obviously food puts us in the Wayback Machine sometimes. You know, when it hits the palate and it's something that you've either had before or had similar to before, you know, it just instantly lights up that recall. And so, talk to me about nostalgic foods for you. Like, is there a dish that either you have or maybe you still have that can take you back to being, you know, 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever?
I would say if I were to eat a peanut butter and fluff sandwich,
Oh yeah, peanut butter.
that would bring me back. And I know
Okay.
that for Jeff, that would be also something that would bring him back as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's also like a potato, we call it Jason's potato, recipe in my family that's like a cheesy potato bake, like crunchy on top. That's really good, and I don't really make it that often.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, because, you know, it's funny, for as many times as I've asked that question, it's never a complicated answer. It's a very simple answer.
Sure.
Never go complex. Oh, it was the small plate amuse-bouche of duck farts, and it's not going there. It's, you know, mom's fill in the blank or dad's fill in the blank. One of mine that I always think of, and, you know, you'll appreciate this coming from one of the greatest seafood states, you know, in the nation. My dad would get imitation crab meat and cocktail sauce, and that was like the protein for dinner. And I dominated the shit out of that fake ass fish. I slew that, but it's that memory. It's that, you know, yours is called Jason's potato. Like, it's a family memory that you have of it.
Definitely.
Cool, man. Cool. So, you know, obviously here we are today, and we know, or at least I know, folks listening will likely lean into knowing your fabulous establishment of Knew Potato Caboose, which, if you want to check it out while you're listening, knewpotatocaboose.com. Obviously, you had to get from point A to point B somehow, and someone had to be an influence to a degree. So talk to me about culinary influence on you growing up.
Well, everyone in my family's always been obsessed with food as far as I can remember. My dad's first job was a pizza cook when he was in high school, and my stepdad was a chef for like 30 years, ranging in jobs from big institutions to fine dining. I had an uncle that was a chef in Maine, so I have a lot of memories of being sort of behind the scenes in restaurants and places, again, where like little kids really don't go.
Yeah.
And also like a bunch of diners and cool places that sort of inspired me to want to be mobile. Haven Brothers Diner in Providence was one that I loved when I lived there, and I would eat cheese fries there like every Friday night.
Nice.
And in Connecticut is there's Zips Diner. That's right near my mom's house in Connecticut. And that was not mobile, but I'm pretty sure that it's one of the oldest diners in the country.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Bacon in San Francisco. Obsessed with that place. And have been, you know, kind of following them for a while in their journey and hoping that, you know, someday we're as successful.
There you go. And so this influence has been all around you in one way, shape, or form.
Definitely.
Awesome. So the next question that I typically ask is kind of somewhat sort of pseudo answered. at this point to a degree, but I still feel the need to maybe lean in, see if there's more to it. You know, sure, you had the influences around you, and sure, I've read your bio copy, but when was it that you knew food was not only going to be just, you know, consumption, sustenance, but it was going to be your life? When was that? Was there a moment? Was there a...
Yeah, I'm not really sure when that moment was, because I can't think of a time when food wasn't really my life.
Right on.
But when I became a mom, I definitely became more obsessed with nutrition and making sure that I ate things that were better for me. And I started learning more traditional, like my family recipes, and I started to learn how to cook on my own more than like what my parents taught me, just to expand that base and to be able to cook things for my family.
Makes total sense. Makes total sense to me. You know, so often, you know, guests have that aha moment, but I guess if it's around you your entire life, it's just a natural evolution of sorts. Fair to say? Definitely.
I certainly didn't ever decide at some point in my life, like, I'm going to be a chef. Mm-hmm. It just sort of happened. Right. It's just sort of the path that led me here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it has certainly led you beyond expectation. And this is what I love. You know, one of my earliest episodes actually was with Lisa Fernandez from season 3 of Top Chef, I think. And she had just opened up Sweet Chili NYC, which was a food truck. And at the time, that was very much like, holy shit, a food truck? How do you do that? You know, this is quite literally going on 5 years ago. And, you know, fast forward, I think the food truck, the art of the food truck, and I should actually introduce you to one of my other guests, Keith Breedlove. He's the state fair chef of the state of California, and he's the guy behind the Culinary Cruiser out in Cali. Incredible guy, incredible prowess. I'll introduce you folks to him.
See.
Yeah. But where I'm going with this is that the food truck has become less utilitarian and more elevated cuisine. So not only have you taken something that's been around you your whole life, but I really think you've made it your own. Specifically because it's late, I skipped dinner, and I'm scrolling through your site as I'm drinking a beer. I'm like, son of a bitch, could I go for one of each? That'd be good. So let's talk about Knew Potato Caboose. Where it came from. I saw tell of too many beers in a hot tub. Do you want to take it from there, or?
Yeah, that was the planning stage. I mean, since I had the ice cream shop in 2005, and I had a lot of restrictions there because of the building that the ice cream shop was in. I couldn't actually cook. Like, I couldn't have hood ventilation in that building, so I couldn't cook anything. That's when I started thinking that I wanted a food truck, because sort of with the ice cream, you think ice cream truck, hot dogs, that kind of stuff. It's easy to take on the road, you would think, but nothing is actually easy to take on the road.
No.
And then, so I worked in the restaurant industry my whole life, different things, worked for different chefs, all kinds of cool things. And then I found out that I had food allergies and that I was hurting myself by going to work every day.
No shit.
So that's when I decided, that's when I got really motivated to do my own thing and to not let anyone else's kitchen make me sick anymore.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I mean, what an awesome reason, I guess, to go in for yourself.
And this was before gluten-free was like the crazy thing that it is now. And I was like, I can't be the only person that's suffering. I can provide jobs for people who have food allergies in addition to feeding people that have food allergies. And part of it was that all the things that we love to do, go to music festivals, go to fairs, all these adventures that we love to do, and there was nothing that I could eat anywhere.
Right.
So that's when we decided, all right, let's do this thing.
Yeah, and you know, I think people are quick to take a swipe at the whole, you know, gluten landscape. Let's call it a landscape. And, you know, I think there are times culinarily where, you know, I hear it and I buck it a little bit, but, you know, it's one of those things where, well, it doesn't affect me, so I kind of let it slide. But, like, this is a legitimate, you know, it is an inflammatory substance. Is that correct?
Yes, but it's also a fact that, like, you know, 90% of the people that avoid gluten aren't allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah, they just feel better maybe, you know, 10%. It's a 10% improvement because of it.
Right.
Yep.
So, but for the people that are really actually allergic, it's a huge big deal, but because of all the people who have the fake gluten intolerance or whatever, then it's hard to figure out when it's a real thing what actually, you know, you have so many people that say, I'm allergic to gluten, but then they'll eat a piece of cake.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that struggle with the reality of, so my whole truck is just, it's entirely 100% gluten free, which isn't hard because potatoes don't have gluten in them.
Right. And, you know, so for folks listening who have maybe, you know, had a friend and maybe, you know, because I'm sure there's been a lot who have done it, so I'm not pointing at you or you or you. I'm just saying in general, you know, if you start to feel a pang of guilt when you begin to hear this, like, listen, it's not a thing. You know, granted, it does get overplayed, you know, by folks who maybe don't necessarily need to, on a necessity basis, ascribe to that lifestyle. But for those that do, you know, just take a minute, step back, and consider, you know, what that feels like for them. So, all right, moment over. Sorry to do the after school special here, but I truly, that shit goes through me because, you know, if you say, oh, I'm allergic to bee stings. Oh, shit, let's keep you away from bees. Oh, I'm allergic to gluten. Oh, really? Like, come on. The next time someone with a bee allergy tells me that and they've made fun of, like, some kind of gluten insensitivity, I'm going to just go get a beehive and, like, hit them with it. Like, here's a beehive. Have fun with that.
Perfect plan. I'm for it. Just not me because I'm allergic to bees.
Oh, God. Oh, man. All right. So I won't do that. But, of course, you wouldn't make fun in that way either. So there's that.
True.
So, all right. Fast forward. Let's talk specifically about Knew Potato Caboose as it stands. You know, there's the foundation of it, you know. And I think, like, what a cool story. I love hearing founding stories where they're founded out of necessity as well as clear and apparent talent. My wife actually said to pass along to you that she still dreams about the wavy gravy.
Oh my gosh, so, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. And listen, she's extremely hard to please. I'm not going to lie to you there. No, that wasn't a subversive, you know, I just realized what I just said and I probably should have phrased it differently. No, she's how do I backpedal out of this bullshit? So culinarily, let's say she's got a very discerning palate. There, that sounds easier and much less sexual. Perfect. But you know, she that day, I mean, you know, me as well. Like, let's be fair. And that's just one aspect of what you make. Talk to me about, as you go through these iterations of French fries, the humble French fry, which here again, this is what I love about a platform like a French fry. You can put, you know, 3 Michelin stars on your door and deal with, you know, black truffles, foie, and all this other shit. That's fine. Make French fry, make frites properly. Then
sure.
you have me impressed. Who is it? It's Wolfgang Puck. Do you know what his interview process is for a cook?
No.
Make me an omelet.
Oh, okay.
and that's it. Make me an omelet. And how they make that omelet, the simple, basic egg dish, that's how they come on. So, I mean, for me, looking at French fries, I'm like, yeah, that would be a hell of an interview process. Make the proper fry. And let me tell you, yours are legitimately some of the best, if not the best, I've ever eaten myself.
Thank you. Jeff actually taught me how to make the fries that way. And Jeff is a pharmacist who just loves to cook. So he's like the science behind it.
I feel that. I'm an e-learning designer, developer, project manager who just likes to talk to people who do this shit, and I like to cook as well. So I think there's a beauty in that. When it's your quote unquote hobby, it's got to be a little bit more fun. Although for him, obviously, it's much more elevated, I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's talk inspiration. Now, we know you do fries. We know you do it at Congdon's After Dark, right?
Yes.
And that's at Congdon's Donuts there on, what the hell was that road name? You'll get it before I do.
Post Road in Wells.
Post Road, Wells, Maine.
Yep, Route 1.
And you actually, now, New Potato is seasonal, correct?
Yes.
And you've only got about, would you say, 2 weeks left?
2 weekends to go.
Wow. Okay. So, during your season, obviously you rotate stuff. Obviously you put specials in. Where does that come from? The fries, fine. You learned from Jeff. I have a feeling you're integral in the inspiration process as to where the new fries come from.
So, back to the hot tub thing. That was we came up with 40 different combinations to put on top of fries.
Nice.
And all of the names of our dishes are all Grateful Dead songs.
Nice.
And so that's really fun, coming up with a dish or hearing a song and just being oh my gosh, I could make something. This reminds me of something. I can make something, some food that is this song. So that's really cool and fun. But our inspiration is food from traveling, sometimes international travel, or sometimes if we just go to a fancy restaurant and have a really good meal and then we're yeah, let's put that on fries.
Nice. Well, because, really, to get back to, the gluten issue, hell, you put, I'm scrolling through your pictures trying to focus and I'm failing miserably. But, you could put all of this stuff essentially over, artisanal bread. People would be oh, it's an open-faced sandwich. Fuck that. Put it over fries. It looks so much better. And, oh my God, what one did I just have open? Smokestack Lightning, knock it off. The two of you knock it off. That's obscene. It's pulled smoked pork, house-made pickles and slaw with Carolina barbecue sauce over top. Cut it out. Don't do that to me. I can't drive to Maine right now, but I want to.
And I think did you have one that was a special bird song when you were there?
Bird song sounds real familiar. It would have been.
That was a special. That was smoked turkey with, stuffing herb aioli and cranberry maple barbecue sauce. I think that's the one you had.
I don't know that was. Now I'm looking at Little Red Rooster. Jesus Christ, why didn't I get this?
That one's our most popular. It's my least favorite to make, but it's our most popular.
Oh my God. So folks listening at home, if you want to play the play-at-home game, go to newpotatocaboose.com and start looking at these fries. Keep both hands on the keyboard, please. Little Red Rooster, hand-cut fries topped with grilled chicken, Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, bacon, ranch, and scallions. Look, it's not overly complex, but the combination and the delivery is what's key. And I can assure you folks listening, if you go, you're going to walk away stunned that the simple, the humble, if you will, the humble French fry was able to attain such greatness thanks to the genius, nothing short of genius, of Kate and Jeff. What's another one before I go? I gotta touch it. Now, obviously, I see Little Red Rooster, most popular seller. What's your favorite? If you're ordering off your menu.
My favorite is Fire on the Mountain, which is cheese, bacon, jalapenos, scallions, and hot sauce.
God damn.
That's my favorite.
See, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm dying in my chair right now. They're all fantastic. I can't express it enough. But let me put your feet to the flames for a minute here and ask you, if you had to pick, and it doesn't necessarily have to be your personal favorite, what would be the greatest creation that you and Jeff have made? Is there one that, even though it might not be your favorite, or it truly might be one of your least favorite, but you look at it and you go, God damn, that took something?
Man, I'm not sure off the top of my head, because we have a lot that aren't on the menu right there, because at Condon's, it's vacation people.
Mm-hmm.
So the menu pretty much stays I have like the basic 7 things on the menu there. And every once in a while, when we just have enough time to pull off a special, then we'll do something nice like that.
Mm.
But I mean, the smokestack lightning is pretty much one of my top creations, I think. But we also do like just chili cheese fries are really good too. Like, not that that's super creative, but our chili is really good and, homemade and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it gets back to the ingredients as a rule don't have to be complicated, but the delivery has to be intentional, and not to mention it's got to be based in a strong foundation. And again, going back to your childhood, clearly you were around this stuff growing up, and I think you just have a natural flow to it, honestly. And I can say that because I've had it. So there's that. There you go.
Awesome.
Over the years, have you ever made one that you're like, never again? That can never be spoken of. It's like the Star Wars Christmas special. You can't talk about it. It never existed. Was there one that just completely bottomed out?
No, I don't think so.
Listen to this. All right. I got it.
I mean, we've done like some weird stuff like barbecue jackfruit, which are like, this could be really popular with vegans, or people could have no idea. And it was just like any other menu item, which is like, we went right through it.
Really?
Yeah.
Barbecue jackfruit.
Yeah.
Now, can you describe for folks listening at home who haven't enjoyed the fruit that is the jackfruit, what exactly is a jackfruit?
Yeah, so it's a gigantic tropical fruit, and when you break it apart, you cook down all the insides and you like mash it up, and when you mash it up, it has the exact consistency and texture of like pulled pork or barbecue pulled chicken.
Awesome.
Except it's just kind of like a huge melon, and you just like cook the flesh and the seeds in it.
And so anything season-wise you add to it, it kind of absorbs that flavor. So a pulled pork barbecue application to it would make sense.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, Knew Potato Caboose, again, Post Road, Wells, Maine. Get there. 2 weeks ago this season. But when does your season start, Kate?
Middle of May.
Mid-May. So, mid-May through, I would say mid-October, is when you want to get there and check them out for the possibly pulled jackfruit fries, if they ever happen again. Who knows? They might not. Looking more generally now that we have this beautiful, well-painted overall picture of Knew Potato Caboose and everything it has to offer, which, I mean, for a fry lover like myself, is everything. Let's talk more food in general, because clearly your knowledge and your know-how, as well as Jeff's, expands beyond just fries. Let's talk food industry in general. Next big thing in food coming down the pike. Do you see anything that's coming as a trend? Maybe not here yet, but because you're in the industry, you see it coming and people are going to be plugged into it?
I mean, the only thing that I hopefully see coming is just sticking with, slow food, simple food, organic, fresh food, whole food, things like that. That's the kind of trend I appreciate.
Yeah. And I think to a degree, to that point, knowledge is key. And so for like organizations like yourself who make it very public, like, hey, look, the potato is gluten-free, as much as I would hope the majority of my listeners would scoff at that and go, well, no shit. There's not everybody knows that. And knowledge will set you free, as they say. And I think culinarily, that's no different. So simple, organic, waiting for your food. We don't have to be putting a cloth napkin in our lap, but we should be putting that level of attention to detail to what we put in our body.
Definitely.
For sure. Talk to me about a trend or multiple trends, if you're sick of them in a large group, that you're ready to see die a fiery napalm death. Anything that's going on in food that you're like, stop it.
I would say anything that is a diet that tortures your mind, body, or spirit, and just avoiding like pesticides and chemicals and things like that. And I think then we'll have less stress on our bodies just trying to digest the food.
I'm like doing the slow 80s movie clap back here. Yes, I love it. I love it. It's great. What else? What else do you hate? Come on, Kate, let it out.
Oh, no, I mean, just the fake gluten-free people.
Mm-hmm.
That's annoying, but,
If
yeah.
you're a fake gluten-free person, Kate hates you. You should know that now.
But come get my fries. You'll love them.
Come get the fries anyway, but just when she gives you a shitty look, accept it and walk away with your head down. You fraud. You fraud.
Exactly.
Cool. So, talk to me about Knew Potato 5-year plan, 10-year plan. What do you got going on?
So the 10-year plan was started in 2010. So we're almost at the end of the 10-year plan now, and I haven't really established my next 5-year plan yet, but my daughter's going to go to college next year, so that is going to change my life dramatically. So that's going to give me a little bit more freedom to focus on what the next thing will be, and I think before we go to another truck, it will definitely be some type of brick and mortar establishment. Something small, still something small.
Oh, I like that. That's teaser. That's teaser right there. I like that. Brick and mortar. Now, are you thinking of staying local there in Wells, or are you looking to pick up?
Somewhere up in Maine, definitely.
Okay.
Not necessarily right in Wells, but the Caboose will be in Wells next summer again, for sure.
Caboose will be in Wells next summer. You heard it here first, folks. It's not going anywhere. Don't worry. The knowledge that you found here tonight will be good next year. It's fine.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, we can't make any promises whatsoever. That's just the way shit goes. Yeah, because really, the array of restaurants in Wells was beyond impressive. I have to say. And I have to say, I think Wells would benefit from a brick and mortar presence, although, I'm sure there's a ton of other towns up there who would benefit from your presence, so.
There are a lot of little up and coming towns along the coast there, so we'll find our spot.
Should find, yeah. Yep, you will absolutely find your spot. I have no questions whatsoever of that. So let's move into afters. Now that we know who you are, where you came from, where you're going, a little bit more irreverent. Hopefully no one gets hurt, but I can't promise anything as well there either. So without further ado, I'm standing in your kitchen. Well, this is a pointless question. This is really, I can honestly say 108 episodes, this question is pointless. I'm going to ask it anyway, and we can do a dramatic pause, but if I'm standing in your kitchen professionally or in the food truck, what music do I hear?
It's the Grateful Dead.
Of course it is. Jesus Christ, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
But we like other stuff too. We like Fish. We like Warren Haynes. We like Jay-Z. We like Wu-Tang. We like everything.
All right, I can see a little Wu-Tang, Grateful Dead, Fish mix. I honestly can say every once in a while when I'm mowing the lawn, I'll put on Fish Pandora Station. And I'm like, shit, I miss these guys because College Shawn, for those of you listening who knew me way back when, yeah, my hair was down past my shoulders, and yeah, that was my scene a little bit. Hippie Shawn, very true. There's some stories we could share, but we're not going to because this is on air, and I don't know what the statute of limitations is on some things I've done. And my parents listen every once in a while, and of course this would be the time they're like, Shawn, what were you smoking in that basement? You don't want to know. Moving on. What? I just pretty much admitted right there, didn't I? Moving on. Come on. It's almost legal in every state now. Damn it.
Pretty much.
I know. I think Pennsylvania just passed the recreation.
All right. Congratulations.
I don't know if we did or we're on our way to, but yeah.
It's getting close.
Every once in a while, I look at our governor and I'm like, I know why this is moving so quickly, man. I know why. I think you get a wild side. I think he goes home and he cranks Fish and he jams out in his basement with his jam band buddies. But Governor Wolf, that's just my guess. Maybe I'm wrong. Call me, do the show. We'll talk about it. It's cool. You're just
fantastic.
You're just a big public figure. I'm just calling you out on air. Go figure. But by the way, Governor Wolf, if you are listening, thank you for everything you're doing with that because it's fantastic and it really should be what it is. Moving on. Let me give you a fictitious scenario, Kate. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only bring 3 foods or food-type items with you. Inexhaustible supplies through the power of magic, because magic is real, and but 3 foods or food-type items. stranded on a deserted island, what would they be and why?
I think it would be potatoes, onions, and bacon.
Oh my God.
Because that's everything.
Marry me.
That covers it.
Yeah. It really is quite simple. My fat ass tossed out beef, bourbon, and beer. So I mean, there's that. That's terrible of me. But essentially, if you're on an island, you could probably learn to ferment, learn the fermentation process, and distill water, and you could probably work that out. But potatoes, onion, and bacon—that's a brilliant landing point. Yeah, because really, what else do you need? Everything else you could find there.
It pretty much covers it.
Yeah. Shit, that's brilliant. That's really smart. I love that. Have you ever had the chance to read My Last Supper by Melanie Denea?
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Coffee table book, 50 famous chefs. She did a follow-up to it, the next course with another 50. Of course, Marco Pierre White's douche face is on the front of it, so, I kind of keep that underneath the other one now, because of his comments about women in the kitchen. With that aside, great book, great read, and obviously asks the late night game that anyone who's ever worked in food has played. Your ticket's getting punched tomorrow. What are you eating, drinking tonight? So I ask you, Kate, tickets getting punched tomorrow. What are you eating? What are you drinking? Go.
I would eat Thanksgiving, like the whole thing.
Whoa! Holy uniqueness. No one has ever said Thanksgiving dinner, but I appreciate the shit out of that. Now, what all goes into that for you?
Well, turkey, of course. Roast turkey and gravy. Green beans, not green bean casserole, just, regular green beans.
I don't want creamy mushroom soup. I don't want crunchy onions. Give me my goddamn green beans. Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Squash, turnips, mashed potatoes, stuffing. My Grammy's stuffing, which is a pork stuffing. No bread. It's like pork and potatoes. A bread stuffing also. I mean, if it's the last meal, I'm definitely gonna eat all the gluten and everything.
You might as well try to beat death, not cheat death. We're gonna beat death. We're gonna go hard. Okay. And what are you having to drink with it?
Probably a nice Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir. Fabulous pick. Highly recommended. Beautiful. And obviously, music-wise, Grateful Dead on 11.
On 11, for sure.
Love it. Love it. Anybody in particular would be there, or just like full family action?
Yeah, full family. Like, if I could have the family of the past and the family of now, like my grandmother and my daughter in the same place at the same time, that would be the best.
Full permission. That's the magic of this wonderful question. Awesome. That's incredible, and I think it would be an incredible time. Thanksgiving dinner, that has not been pitched out in 107 episodes. And again, once you said it, I'm like, how has someone not said this in 107 episodes? Because it's like the most iconic meal of the year. How'd we miss that? Terrible.
It's my favorite.
Terrible.
We don't even celebrate Valentine's Day. We have another Thanksgiving.
That's smart. Oh my God. And I need that recipe for that pork and potato stuffing. That's legitimate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's fantastic. I need that in my life. Finally, the simplest question, the shortest question, but possibly the most complex question. What is food to you in a single word?
Love.
Love. I love it. I love it because there's probably an indentation on my desk where I write the answer to that last question, because I keep copious interview notes, because, all right, spoiler alert, on air, we're working on a book, and we're kind of taking notes and episodes and transcribing them and putting stuff into a book, and we're going to start to work with that. We're working local first, and so, for 108 episodes, I write down everybody's answers in some way, shape, or form, and I have to say, like, love is like this wonderfully indented answer on my desktop.
That's amazing.
And these are folks who, Justin Sutherland, who has like 12 restaurants. Actually, Josh Valentine, who I talked to 2 nights ago from Top Chef season 10. They all said love, and cool. I think there's something to that, because especially with your story, Kate, how it was all around you, and that food, I think that food is just a physical manifestation of what you just said. It's that love.
Have another plate, right?
That's right. Have another plate until you can't no more, and then hand it to somebody else. That's, in its truest, purest form, love. I totally agree. And with that in the books and on the paper, Kate Subocz, we're at the end of the episode.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you didn't get jarred too much. NewPotatoCaboose.com, Post Road, Wells, Maine. Your season's wrapping up in 2 weeks. Start mid-May again next year, 2020. That's like, speaking of Jay-Z, 2020 Club. Isn't that terrible? I should be shot for that. Mid-May. Fuck me. All right. How do you pull out of that one? You don't. Mid-May next year, 2020, they'll reopen and they'll be back with more just incredible, nonsensical in the best possible way, Grateful Dead tribute, fried potato action, and Kate Subocz again. Yeah, Jeff, if you're listening, man, sorry you couldn't be here, but man, do you have a good thing going? And Kate, I cannot thank you enough for being here with us this evening.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you next summer in Maine.
You got it, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 108 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening, Kate Subocz and the spirit of Jeff Audette from Knew Potato Caboose at NewPotatoCaboose.com, Post Road, Wells, Maine. Be sure to check them out. Our producer, as always for this evening, has been the voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out all his steampunk, libertarian, and fringe happenings in the 18431. Next episode's going to be 109, bringing it back to something local. Stay tuned.
Hey, do you like coffee? Do you like gourmet coffee? Do you like really amazing gourmet coffee that's a total steal and just happens to be based on a culinary podcast? Well, look no further. The Coarse Grind Podcast has teamed up with the Mr. G Coffee Company to create the perfect custom blend. Dark as the logo itself with hints of caramel, sea salt, and dark chocolate. It is luxury in a cup at an incredible price. Be sure to check out their site today, MrGCoffee.com, and order some now.